Driving his shiny Mercedes, Todd zoomed across the long bridge over the Hudson River towards his company. As he drove, he whistled along to the tune on the radio. Today, Todd's company was appointing a new sales director, the daughter of the CEO who had just returned from studying overseas. Rumors swirled that she was not only extremely capable, but also very beautiful. Eager to see her rumored beauty and talent, Todd had arrived to work early. Todd's sleek new car sped along the familiar route. Passing the usual street lamps, median strips, scrawny trees, and utility poles, a road sign suddenly caught his attention. A new milestone marker with dark blue numbers against a light background, mile 13. The oddly placed sign was mounted right in the middle of the bridge's median strip. Figuring the transportation department had nothing better to do, Todd chuckled at the absurd misplacement while lamenting the crazy, mixed-up society. Glancing at his watch, Todd realized he was close to being late for the meeting. He hit the gas pedal, zooming towards the company gate. The elderly security guard shuffled out to open the gate for Todd, greeting him, "My, quite early today, Mr. Todd." Todd smiled politely, not wanting to engage the obsequious guard whom he resented for brown-nosing his superiors. The guard tried cozying up to everyone, yet his lot in life never exceeded this lowly job. At least Todd was the HR director, second only to the CEO. Dismissing the guard, he strode purposefully into the building, anticipation mounting. Entering the conference room, his colleagues were already seated, awaiting his arrival. Fortunately, the CEO had not yet arrived. Todd settled into his customary chair. Pride swelling at his prestigious position. Below one, above many. Only the CEO ranked higher. The department heads all reported to him, the right-hand man of the boss. Today, the boss was appointing a left hand, his own daughter. Todd congratulated himself on the opportunity this presented for social claiming. If he could win the affections of the CEO's glamorous daughter, his fortunes would be made. Just then, the CEO entered with a young woman in tow, presumably his 25-year-old daughter just returned from studies in America. Todd was stunned by her beauty. She seemed to draw the very soul from his body. Tall and slender with flawless fair skin, refined features, and stately presence, every eye was inevitably pulled towards her. A stunned silence descended on the room, broken by the CEO introducing her. "Let me present Bella, our new sales director. Please give a warm welcome to the latest addition to our corporate family." Enthusiastic applause erupted around the room, along with murmurs of admiration. With poise and humility, Bella gracefully stood and addressed the group. "Hello everyone, I'm very excited and honored to be joining you all today. I hope you will help me quickly get up to speed so we can continue growing and strengthening this wonderful company together." Bowing slightly towards her new colleagues, Bella quickly glanced up and accidentally met Todd's intent gaze, blushing charmingly before coyly averting her eyes. In that instant, Todd's mind crystallized on one purpose. He would make this CEO's daughter his, no matter what it took. The introductory meeting concluded swiftly. Around noon, Todd lounged in his office daydreaming about Bella's face and smile when his phone rang. "Hello, Mr. Brown?" "Yes, Todd here, sir." "Got some time this afternoon? I'll treat you to lunch, have my driver pick us up." Unable to decipher his boss mumbling, Todd kept responding, "Yes, sir, of course, sounds great." When he finally hung up, a huge smile spread across his face. The CEO inviting him to a fancy lunch? This was too perfect. At 12:45 p.m. sharp, Todd pulled his car around front. Shortly after, Bella and her father emerged. Todd rushed to open the back door, watching appreciatively as Bella glanced his way, tittering softly. Yes, the pretty boss daughter was already smitten. Todd drove them to a posh restaurant on Wall Street. The lively lunch reinforced Todd's ambitions. The CEO spoke so warmly, practically like family. Afterwards, Todd dropped Mr. Brown at his Upper East Side residence. But Bella accompanied Todd to an important client meeting. While Todd could have managed alone, he recognized a golden chance to bond with Bella. Bantering entertainingly the whole way, he pulled out all the stops trying to charm and impress her. For her part, Bella responded with graceful amusement to his antics. Abruptly, Todd queried, "So Bella, do you have a boyfriend?" Blushing prettily, she smiled. "No, silly question." An awkward silence descended for the remainder of the drive as two minds wandered down very different paths. Out of the blue, Todd turned to Bella. "Do you have a business card? I can introduce you to our partners so they can contact you directly." That was just an excuse. His real intent was to get Bella's number to begin executing his devious plan. Naive Bella had no inkling of Todd's ulterior motives. She handed over her card, which Todd tucked into his pocket as the car sped along the sunny road. "Hello, Bella?" "Yes, Bella speaking. Who's this?" "It's Todd. Are you busy tonight? It's Sunday." "Oh no, I'm free. Kinda bored, actually. Don't know many people since I just got back." "Do you like horror movies? Wasn't sure if you're into them, but thought I'd call and invite you to catch one with me if you want." After a thoughtful pause, Bella finally accepted Todd's invitation. A surge of excitement rose inside her. Perhaps she had developed a little crush on the handsome, silver-tongued Todd. Time flew by. The two co-workers soon went public with their blossoming relationship. They were inseparable, seemingly made for each other. Bella had genuinely fallen for Todd, enamored by his good looks, wealth, and charm. As they say, women love with their ears. How true. And as these stories go, one drunken night after bar hopping, she surrendered her innocence to Todd in his car, believing she had found true love. Little did she know, Todd was methodically executing his master plan, his grand ambition, to become the son-in-law and husband of the CEO's precious only daughter. Todd felt nothing for Bella except contempt. He was exploiting the poor girl to get his hands on her and her father's fortune. Oblivious, Bella harbored not a shred of doubt, wholeheartedly loving Todd. A lecher by nature, Todd constantly sought out other girls despite having the lovely Bella by his side. At a cafe one day, he met Gina, a pretty waitress at La Crema in Chelsea. With her fashionable look and makeup, she attracted eyes wherever she went, including Todd's. Unable to resist his lust, Todd wasted no time cozying up to seduce Gina. The hapless girl soon fell into his arms, wooed by his roguish charm and gifts. Unlike with Bella, Todd genuinely loved Gina. Her simple, wholesome beauty and rural candor utterly captivated him. So Todd deceitfully maintained his pretense of loving Bella, while secretly cavorting with Gina on the side. He even smugly congratulated himself on duping both gorgeous women. Whenever this happened, Todd would sit alone chuckling, extremely pleased with himself. But then one day, Todd received a text from Gina, a picture of a positive pregnancy test and message. "I'm pregnant. What do we do now? Let's get married." Todd froze in horror, breaking into a sweat. How could this be when he was always careful? He panicked but mostly feared the consequences if this got out. What now? What could he do? After a tense moment, he took a deep breath to calm himself. Picking up the phone, he arranged to meet Gina at their usual secret rendezvous spot by the river. That evening after work, without even stopping home to clean up or eat, Todd hurried directly to see Gina. She had been waiting there for a while, overjoyed to see him finally arrive. She longed to run into his arms, ease the longing and loneliness, and excitedly share her wonderful news that she was carrying his child. Despite knowing about Bella, her blind devotion led her to accept sharing her lover. And now, bearing his child, she hoped Todd would openly love and legitimize their relationship instead of continuing to sneak around. But it seemed she was mistaken. Todd approached stony-faced. Lacking his usual cheer, he stood in gloomy silence, gazing at the murky river's churning waters. An invisible wall separated the troubled pair. The swelling secret in Gina's womb hung heavily between them. She too remained silent, increasingly uneasy. With forced casualness, Todd finally turned to Gina after the tense hush. His eyes made her feel she faced a complete stranger rather than her darling Todd. But his question utterly astonished her. "Have you thought this through? You really want to marry me?" This aligned with her wishes exactly, yet something still felt off. "I agree. We'll get married. I'll provide for you and our child. Don't worry." Overcome with emotion, Gina's doubts evaporated in her euphoria. Clutching Todd tightly as if to secure their hidden love against the river's currents, she finally had her beloved Todd loving her back. Leaning in, Todd whispered gently, "I'll cherish and care for you both. Trust me." Smiling tenderly, his eyes oddly betrayed him. "Come now, let's go eat. Just us two. I'm famished and haven't had dinner yet." Docile as a drenched kitten cradled against its owner, Gina obediently followed Todd to his car and accompanied him to an upscale restaurant. There they ordered a feast, all Gina's favorites plus expensive wine. Reveling in her apparent good fortune, Gina ate heartily, not noticing as Todd kept topping up her wine glass. By dinner's end, she was thoroughly sloshed. Todd hauled the intoxicated Gina to his car and drove her to his house, guiding her into his bedroom. Drowsily murmuring, she drifted into a drunken, lustful stupor on his bed. Todd gently caressed her body, making love as if for the first time. In this very room they had once passionately embraced in ecstasy, but who could have guessed what happened next? After finishing, Todd let the unsuspecting Gina doze off. He quietly slid off the bed, grabbing a thin rope used for the window curtains. With it, he firmly bound his powerful arms, then slowly approached the sleeping Gina. Pausing guiltily, his eyes suddenly hardened with murderous determination. The demon within compelled him onwards. He was resolute, looping the ominous cord around Gina's graceful neck as it rose and fell with each breath, over the pulsing arteries still vibrant with life. Oblivious in her contented slumber, Gina had no inkling Todd was about to end her. As the noose tightened and he pressed down upon her, the rope constricted fatally. Too late, she thrashed in panic, clawing desperately at Todd's pitiless hands. Futilely struggling to remove the choking rope, her eyes bulged wildly, only the whites visible. Bloodshot and crazed, they fixed upon Todd with utter hatred and accusation, cursing the man she had loved, who was now ruthlessly murdering her and their unborn child. But the realization had come too late. With her final moments, she writhed and flailed helplessly, no match for the muscular murderer's brute strength. The lavish dinner had been her last meal, the fine wine a farewell toast, their passionate lovemaking, a final kindness from Todd before slaughtering her. Meanwhile, straddling Gina, Todd's hands twisted tighter as his eyes blazed with frenzy. Choking her viciously, he raved, "You must die! You must die! That bastard child won't ruin my plans. You'd still be alive if not for the pregnancy. Let me send you off early so I can continue my scheme. You have no right to wreck it." Not until Gina moved no more did he stop throttling her. Before him lay her still warm, nude corpse, eyes frozen wide open, fixed accusingly on him with utmost hatred. Even in death, those resentful eyes seemed to follow him, condemning him, as if they would haunt him forever in vengeance. Todd sat there drenched in sweat, suddenly feeling an icy chill. He had just committed murder. Not only that, double murder. A violent shudder seized him, teeth chattering uncontrollably. The oppressive silence terrified him, the room's perfect stillness accentuating the chilling rigidity of the fresh corpse. Panic rising, his mind raced frantically. Damn it, what now? He paced anxiously, clutching his head in desperation, racking his brains. He must smoothly cover this up somehow, otherwise his schemes would be ruined. Then inspiration struck, a depraved idea he'd never considered before. Todd thought of a horror film he had once seen. Night. In Bella's bedroom, the bedside lamp suddenly flickered erratically before going out completely. Pitch blackness engulfed the room, only the faint glow from the streetlights outside filtering through the window. The wind whipped up angrily, slamming the windows noisily together. A storm brewed, the first after many sweltering days. It shrieked through the trees, branches rustling like mournful spirits. A bolt of lightning sliced the sky, brightly illuminating Bella's room and awakening her from a nightmare with its deafening thunderclap. She had experienced a horrifyingly vivid dream, leaving her pulse racing in terror. Though she couldn't recall it clearly, the emotions remained, a sense of witnessing something unspeakably evil. The vengeful lightning had returned her to reality. Shivering uncontrollably, she tried calming herself. It was just a dream. Still, it had felt so real, so disturbing. "Why is it so dark? I'm certain I left the lamp on before sleeping," she muttered, attempting to reassure herself. Whipping cold sweat from her bro, she groped for the lamp switch near her pillow. It didn't turn on. Outside, the storm strengthened, wind and rain lashing as the windows rattled loudly. A creeping dread grew in Bella, and she felt unaccountably chilled, as if some unseen presence lurked nearby. Could she summon the courage to get up and close the window? As she hesitantly approached, lightning flashed again, and in the courtyard below she glimpsed a pale, wet figure, a girl with long, dripping hair wearing white. Blinking rapidly, she squinted through the rain but saw nothing, just her groggy imagination. Turning back, Bella froze in shock. There, right before her, stood a sopping wet, ghostly woman with long, obscuring hair and flowing white garments. One pale hand stretched towards Bella's throat as if to strangle her. Bella screamed at the top of her lungs in sheer fright, diving under her blankets. "Dad, there's a ghost in the house!" she shrieked uncontrollably. Hearing his daughter's blood-curdling screams, Mr. Brown rushed into Bella's room and frantically flicked on the lights, flooding the chamber with blinding brightness. Oddly, the lamp now worked perfectly, unlike when Bella had futilely tried turning it on earlier. He found Bella huddled on the bed, blankets wrapped tightly around her, wailing hysterically. Rainwater flooded the floor from the open window. Mr. Brown hurried to embrace his daughter, consoling her. "Daddy's here. Don't worry. You're all right." Clinging to him like a drowning victim saved by a life preserver, Bella sobbed uncontrollably. "There's a ghost in our house. I'm so scared." Mr. Brown reassured her. "It was just your overworked mind playing tricks on you, dear. Our home couldn't possibly have ghosts. I'm here now. No need to be frightened." Still crying, Bella described her ordeal. "It was so creepy, Dad. A woman in a drenched white dress with long, loose hair that tried to strangle me. I saw her outside in the yard. Then she suddenly appeared in my room. She was in that corner. I'm terrified." Unsure how to respond, Mr. Brown simply continued comforting his distraught daughter. Having her father present calmed Bella enough to eventually cry herself, to sleep in his arms, exhausted from the day's stresses and terror. Outside, the mysterious woman in white stood silently in the downpour, gazing up at the window of the now slumbering girl who had glimpsed her. For a moment, her pale form wavered indistinctly before evaporating into the rainy darkness. After gently tucking Bella back into bed, Mr. Brown returned to his room, troubled by the bizarre episode involving his daughter. As a pragmatic, materialistic businessman, he dismissed ghosts and spirits as superstition. He attributed Bella's vision to work-related anxiety causing delusions. Making a mental note to ease her workload, Mr. Brown switched off the light, hoping to get some sleep. Around 2 a.m., the jangling telephone pierced the silence, jolting Bella awake. Though less petrified than earlier, vestiges of fear lingered from her supernatural encounter. Picking up the receiver, she was surprised to hear Todd's voice on the line. Gone was his usual calm. Instead, he sounded frantic. "Please come here now, I need you." Before Bella could inquire further, the call disconnected. Puzzled but increasingly concerned by Todd's odd behavior that night, she decided to drive over to check on him. Her deep love and worry for Todd overrode all hesitation. Grabbing a jacket and her keys, she hurried to the garage and set off into the stormy darkness. Unable to sleep, Mr. Brown overheard the garage door opening. Debating whether to stop his daughter, he hesitated briefly before making a decision. Donning raincoat and boots, he took his motorcycle and surreptitiously tailed Bella's car. The relentless deluge made for hazardous road conditions. Streetlights cast dilating halos through the watery blackness. Accelerating, Bella sped forward, leaving the phantom rain swallowing the road behind her. At Todd's gate, rather than ringing the bell, she called his number to avoid drawing the neighbor's attention at this late hour. He answered quickly, voice taut with relief and urgency. "I'll be right there." Moments later, Todd emerged, visibly straining under an oversized, heavy sack slung over his shoulder. Bella opened her trunk without asking questions as Todd requested before he lugged it inside. "Hang on, more to bring out?" He panted heavily. "Here, let me help you," Bella offered, unwilling to simply watch Todd struggle. She loved him too much. Silently, she followed him into the house. Once the pair disappeared inside, the shadowy figure that had secretly trailed them finally emerged, none other than Mr. Brown. Fighting the urge to investigate further, he hid behind a large tree, observing the mysterious proceedings. Crossing Todd's threshold, an icy chill of foreboding gripped Bella. His home felt eerily vacant, freezing and gloomy, as if long deserted. Led to the bathroom, Todd indicated a second, slightly smaller sack. "Come here and lend me a hand," he beckoned. Without responding, Bella silently approached. Another icy chill crawled down her spine, the damp sack's slimy feel, and the bathroom's cloying stench filling her with foreboding. She considered asking Todd what was inside but held back, fearing it might anger him. To Bella, Todd was everything. Her love, her happiness. For love, she could do anything for Todd unquestioningly. Together they lugged the second sack out to her car. As Todd slammed the trunk, a bolt of lightning vividly illuminated his fiendish features, now cold and sinister. Wordlessly, he drove off into the raging storm. The 15-minute drive passed in tense silence, both lost in troubled thoughts. Soon they reached the familiar bridge Todd crossed daily for work. The white mile marker 13 against blue background looked ghostly and ominous through the downpour's haze. At midspan, Todd slowed. The motorcycle tailing them also slowed before stopping completely. From afar, Todd and Bella couldn't identify the dim, rain-cloaked figure, Mr. Brown, silently tracking their every move. Keeping his distance, he watched unseen, curious what they were up to. Halting the car, Todd emerged, Bella following. A flash of lightning starkly revealed Todd's murderous countenance, once handsome but now cold and pitiless, his icy gaze terrifying. As Bella shielded them with the umbrella, Todd opened the trunk and wrestled out the first sack. Lugging it to the railing, he hurled it into the water without a shred of remorse. The second sack proved inexplicably heavier, requiring tremendous exertion to hoist onto his shoulder. Seeing Todd struggle, Bella helped lift and carry it to the bridge's edge where Todd flung it into the churning river. Smirking smugly, he dusted off his hands. His secret crime was complete. Suddenly, lightning illuminated all. The killer's face, his unwitting accomplices, the concealed witness, who had observed everything. Most conspicuous was the milestone marker with its bright white number 13 against vivid blue that clearly identified the location. The weeping skies seemed to mourn the victims, gusting winds keening laments for the lives so cruelly stolen, the remains so heartlessly disposed. The murderer retained not a trace of humanity, his capacity for evil unfathomable. Retribution would surely come for his unspeakable sins. With the grim deeds done, Todd calmly drove home into the tempestuous night,